When you think of summer, you likely think of watermelon. Rather than a typical burglary where one might smash a front door with a crowbar, the thief broke in through a different way. The walls here inside this Wichita home perfectly represent fan representation, and even though it may look like a house divided, it's a healthy competition. This stadium here is very familiar to track and field fans. Not only is it the home track for the Shockers, but it's also the site for the state high school track meet, which is coming up in a couple of weeks from today. But what you may not know is that the royal family actually has a connection right here in Kinsley, Kansas. But for one home here on Minnehaha Avenue, this family has a home rather, but the rebuilding process is far from over. For one McPherson woman, she's getting her entire furnace unit replaced, all thanks to the generosity of others. As the town librarian, Joan Weaver is familiar with the unexpected history this home holds. It originally belonged to Earl Spencer Jr., a U.S. Navy pilot.
When he grew up, he married Wallace Warfield at the time, and they were married for quite a while and then divorced.
That Wallace Warfield would go on to marry King Edward VIII, but there was some controversy.
The Church of England and the tradition in England was you couldn't marry a divorced woman, especially when she had two husbands that were still alive.
Edward would abdicate the throne for his love and would be succeeded by George VI. He, however, died young in 1952, and that's when his daughter Elizabeth II became queen.
If it hadn't been for the divorces and stuff, maybe Queen Elizabeth never would have been queen.
While growing up in Michigan, Weaver went across the border to Canada to find this teacup set, which marked the Queen's coronation. From then on, she would follow the Queen.
Her sense of duty and her ladiness, I mean, she was just a marvelous woman.
Now that the Queen has passed, we're celebrating and honoring the 96-year-old monarch's legacy. Cheers to the Queen.
To the Queen.
Yeah, it's second to none, and, half the reason why.
Chris Davis grew up around the game of baseball. He and his sister worked during games at what was then known as Lawrence Stadium, and his dad worked with National Baseball Congress founder Ray Hap Dumont.
Some of the players that we saw go through there and the friendships that we made with the scouts, and just it was an unbelievable childhood. To grow up in that environment.
Under Dumont's watch, the NBC brought many players that were on the rise to Wichita, including Satchel Paige. During 1962's NBC World Series, Dumont announced the addition of a pitch clock. With many games that needed to be played in just one day, Davis says it was meant to shorten games.
I used to run the clock. That was part of my job, and teams had 90 seconds between innings, and the pitcher had 20 seconds to throw the ball, and it sat out there in right field for years.
The pitch clock would slowly work its way up through the minor leagues and has now been implemented in Major League Baseball games this year. Davis says Dumont's vision and ideas have not only helped modernize the game, but also put the Air Capital on the baseball map.
He knew how to promote and how to get people in the stands, and his ideas were phenomenal.
How much?
They're 15.
15? Okay. Since he was young, Kenneth Simons has been farming watermelon.
I enjoy working at it, but I've worked at it for years.
Right off South Broadway, he has one field dedicated to growing watermelon and cantaloupe.
I'll raise what I want, sell them right here, and I sell the whole works right here under the tree.
His melons are keeping customers like Lisa and her granddaughter Ariana happy and coming back each year.
He always picks my melons for me because I'm not very good at it. I haven't mastered that, and they're always perfect.
On Sunday, Kenneth took a lunch break and parked his yellow truck behind some bushes. But while he was gone, someone stole several watermelons out of the back and returned them eaten, leaving behind the rinds and not leaving any money.
I'd like to have been there when they got them.
It's shameful. There's no other word for it.
But there's plenty of support behind him. And despite the incident, Kenneth, who recently turned 90, will keep going.
I'm not setting no time, as long as I feel good.
It kicks that camera on in the closet.
JT's liquor store owner Matt Jabera received an alert that a motion sensor inside his store went off early Thursday morning.
They tell me that one motion sensor had gone off, and so generally if it's just one sensor, we'll ask them to disregard, and I told them I was on my way up instead, and so then I tried to pull up the cameras on my phone, and the cameras wouldn't pull up.
He drove around the store, inspecting, then walks inside. While he doesn't find any liquor stolen, up at the front counter, he found 2 cash registers missing.
So I get ready to walk towards the back door again, and I feel a cold breeze coming. So I turn on the light, and I look down, and I see the big hole where the guy came through the wall.
Jabera says the thief broke glass to get inside a vacant unit next door, then punched 2 massive holes in the wall, ripping down wires, thinking they were tied to the store's alarm system in the process. The second hole, he was able to crawl in to a storage room, disconnecting the store's Wi-Fi and what he thought were more camera wires along the way. The thief made off with $400 from the registers. While Jabera is no stranger to having his business vandalized, he says the way it happened was different.
The officer that was walking around with me, he'd never seen anything like it, and we go back and we watch the video, and he just, instead of yanking wires, he's just politely unplugging wires.
He has since stepped up his surveillance, adding additional motion sensors.
To have somebody just literally, spend an hour and a half to bust through your wall and come and tear up 2 cash drawers and leave, just like there was no big deal. It's just, your faith in humanity kind of drops a little bit.
Walk the track for a little bit and then utilize the stairs.
For Bev McFarland, the track and stands here at Cessna Stadium provide not only a great spot to work out.
A lot of times I'm out here with friends, so it's sort of a social thing. You know, we chit-chat and take care of business once a week.
However, age has taken its toll on the stadium. Rust can be clearly seen in many parts, and the university has said in the past that the stadium would require extensive repairs and is a continuing public safety concern.
It needs a little love.
For high school track coaches like Heights' Jivy Foster, who has participated in meets while at Wichita South and has coached many teams participating in the state meet here, it holds a lot of memories, including watching future NFL star Jordy Nelson break records.
Now, I remember sitting in the stands getting ready to watch him, and I was like, who is this kid? And he had broke the state record in the 100, and so I'm looking like, okay, he's going to come back. And he broke the state record in the 200, and I was like, wow, never know who he was.
Though the stadium won't look the same, Foster says the renovations are long overdue and is excited for the future, especially for Wichita State, when it comes to recruiting and being on par with other schools in their conference.
And bringing them into Wichita, like you want to be able to show that off and show off the nice facilities that we have at Wichita State, because it helps with recruiting.